Shelby is the first film from writer and director Chris Stuckman, who, okay, if you're watching YouTube movie reviews, you probably already know who this guy is. The story was co-written by Sam Liz. I don't really put much thought into what my influences were with this channel, but Stuckman was probably among the biggest. And now he's put out an actual movie given a decently wide release from Neon with Mike Flanagan's name attached. Another Filippo Brothers story. And how is it? In one of those half-assed YouTube shorts I have to make to appease the algorithm, I was on the fence about whether I liked it or not, but ended up leaning toward positive. Now that time has passed, it's still equally mixed, but I think I might be leaning more towards the negative. Anyway, it's about a ghost hunter on YouTube who disappears mysteriously, and over a decade later, her sister gets some new evidence and sets out to find her. It tells the story of her disappearance and its impact on true crime and paranormal stuff through an extended mockumentary segment. And this is probably the most interesting part of it. It would have been cool if they could have kept this format for the whole thing, but no, it switches to a more traditional horror movie format. Although to be fair, the abrupt transition was pretty effective. However, despite never again reaching the level of uniqueness of its opening sequence, the rest of the movie is still a very well-made, creepy film. It's full of mystery and intrigue, but also a lot of those supernatural scares. But it is kind of a shame that it's a little let down by its main character. She's a good actor, but the story does require her to make some dumb decisions to make sure that the plot moves forward, mostly revolving around the idea to not get police involved and to investigate dangerous places all by herself. And it all comes to a head with a final act that's the main reason that I'm leaning negative here. The mystery is answered, and it all turns into a string of cliches from better horror films, but not in the way that would be too bad if it wasn't also confusing. I left the theater unsure of what the hell that was all about. This is unfortunately a disappointment considering Stuckman's passion for film and Flanagan's involvement, but it gives the feeling that Chris Stuckman could be a good director if he wasn't stuck with a mediocre writer like Chris Stuckman. A creepy, intriguing movie that unfortunately gets worse as it goes on.
Chainsaw Massacre 2. The Buzz is back. Directed by Tobe Hooper.
Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc, is from director Tatsuya Yoshihara, who directed episodes of the show and of Black Clover. Written by Hiroshi Seko, who wrote for Dan Dan, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Mob Psycho 100, and of course Chainsaw Man, based on the manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto. This year's other anime movie hit after the Demon Slayer movie. That one was a 2.5-hour string of anime fights that served as basically just part of the middle of a story. In contrast, this takes a more subtle approach, taking its time to set up an actual story before we get to the action. It still doesn't bother with letting newcomers know what happened, but it's not too difficult to get enough information. He's a man, he's a chainsaw, you're good. This ends up being the better method. I've said in my review of Demon Slayer that it kinda gets old after a while. Oh, another fight, just like what we've been doing for the last hour. It's not fun anymore. When's the plot going to move forward? Gosh, I sound like such a stick in the mud. I love the anime action, it's just that Chainsaw Man knows when to use it so that it never gets tiring, and tells a complete and satisfying story. In fact, it takes a long while to get to the action. It focuses on the story and characters before anything truly awesome happens. In said story, Denji, the Chainsaw Man, meets the titular Reze and falls in love, but things may not be as great as they seem. This probably won't flesh out the characters to anybody who isn't already familiar with them, although I could be wrong about that, but it will establish a story and relationship between Denji and Reze that are both worthy of the intense second half or so. And when things go wrong, the action is pretty much non-stop. Yes, I am saying that as a good thing now, probably because of the shorter runtime and better pacing, but the action is on par with the glorious heights of Demon Hunter. It's intense, fast-paced, and fun, and it retains the anime's bizarre sense of humor and depravity, and there's even a bit of emotion at the end. If there's a complaint, I guess it's that they could have put in even more of the wildness of the Denji character. It's still definitely there, but it's also not as much considering half of the anime was just him slaying demons in the hopes of getting laid. Yes, he is still a horny bastard in this one, but let's not forget that there was a few episode-long arc where he decided that his main goal in life was to touch a girl's boobs. I swear this is not one of those weird perverted anime. But that's not really that much of an issue. It's still the same, just as weird, violent, and intense, but this time it has an emotional story of teen love to go with it. Once this thing revs up, there's no stopping until it's over.